All right, so to use the Vectornator app to create your circle Zentangle, this is what it's going to look like when you open it. It's going to open it up into a gallery. If you have not used this program before, it's going to give you these examples down below. We don't want to use any of those. We want to create something original. So you're going to go up here to the plus sign and click on the plus sign. Here it gives you all these different options. You can have paper sizes, it can be based off of resolution, devices, and so on. Very similar to Photoshop. However, we're going to go to import because we want to do a custom size. All right, so you're going to click on custom size, and you want to make sure it says 14 inches by 14 inches, and down here is going to give you the option for your units. And to make sure that inches is selected, it's going to be this light gray color. Okay, so once you have that, you're going to click create, and it's going to load, and it's going to show you kind of more of a canvas that has like this checkerboard in the background. That's exactly what you want. To use to zoom in and zoom out, it's using your fingers, zoom in, two fingers pushing them together, zoom out. You can twist your canvas, which actually this makes it really convenient when doing this assignment. Whoops. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to start with my defined space, okay, to create my circle Zentangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the shape tool. Some of these are different than what we have in Photoshop. Some of them are similar. You're actually kind of more learning a program that's for an Illustrator program. So down here is where your shape button will be. It's going to be above the eraser tool. Right now, mine's already set on the circle, but you might see a rectangle. If you see a rectangle, just click on those three dots, and it shows you all these other shapes that you can create. So make sure you click the ellipse. Looks like an oval. Before we actually draw it, we need to make sure that we have the appropriate style. So that big paintbrush up here, anytime you click on that, depending on the tool that you are on, it will give you the same type of options, or it might change them depending on where you are. So back on my shape tool, paintbrush, okay, I want to make sure there's no fill. So to make sure that there's no fill, how did I do this last time? Oh, that's right. You want to make sure that there's a line going through that eyeball. All right, so that's how you make sure there's no fill. 100% opacity, blend mode normal, we're not going to touch that. Blur, we're not going to touch that either. Make sure your stroke color is black. If it's not, you just click on it and then you're able to change your color. Slide that back down. For this, okay, if you're using Vectornator for the Circle Zentangle project, we are doing half the size of what I recommended originally. Okay, so that means I want 5-point width for your stroke. So you're going to just type in 5, press enter, and then tap stroke width to make it go away. Now we are all set for our drawing out our circle. So pretending that your finger is the mouse, pretty much all you're going to do is click and drag. Now you have to try to make sure that's a perfect circle, right? And then let go. When you want to move it, because right now it is not in place, I have to pick another button. I have to go up to the black arrow up at the top to select my circle and move it into place and try to center it as best as I can. Looks pretty good. Okay, if you want to enlarge your circle a little bit more, you can. You can just click on these and drag it out to make it more of a perfect circle if you feel like it's not. Oops, and then move it back. Come on. Move it back into place. Okay. Also up here, something that you want to be aware of is this is your layers button. Okay, and this is what your layers is going to look like. You can double tap on it to rename it. And I want to rename it circle. Okay. And then I'm going to press the lock button because I want to lock that layer down. Make this go away. All right, and just tap on the screen to make it go away. All right, to add another layer is this last button over here. Just click on that, give you a layer, but this layer went below it. We want to make sure it goes above it, so you just click and drag, or I should say tap and drag to move it up. All right, and this is where I'm going to create my strings. So this is going to be my strings layer. I'm going to press done. Now we're going to use the pen tool. Okay, that is the 4th button down. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. I want to make sure that I am on my black line when I am starting. So all I'm going to do is, tap. If you do mess up, see that X up here? Press the arrow right next to the X. There's that back arrow. I could also redo if I wanted to, but I could just undo. All right, I'm gonna leave that open so we could see it. This I'm gonna hide because I don't need to see it anymore, so I'm just gonna tap that to make it go away. All right, so what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm just gonna tap. Now I'm gonna zoom out and kind of push myself over here so I can see where I'm gonna go. So now I kind of wanna make this wavy line, so I'm gonna tap and drag to start to make my curved line. I'm gonna tap and drag to make my other curved line, and then to end it, I'm going to use my 2 fingers. I'm going to push myself over and, oh, I made another line, but I actually like that. Whoops, don't like that. I'm going to zoom in, okay, and then I'm going to tap the line to make sure that I'm there. Now, I don't like this slight little curve that I see here. So this fun tool that we don't have in Photoshop is called the Direct Selection tool. It's the second tool from the top. Oh, so touchy. All right, so I'm going to tap that second tool, and I'm going to tap that white box that's called an anchor. And I'm just going to move it more into place so it has this smoother line to it. The other thing I want to touch is this line. It kind of extends past the edge of my circle. So still on the direct selection arrow tool, I'm going to select that anchor point and I'm just going to drag it back a little bit so it's still touching. There's no gaps, but it's not extending past that circle. So now I'm going to zoom back out so I can see what I have. All right, right now I have 2 sections. I want to have at least 3 or more. I'm going to go back to my pen tool. I'm going to zoom in. I want to create a line up here. I'm going to, oops. All right, so in order to stop your line from continuing, you're going to go to your direct selection tool, then you're going to go back to your pen tool. It's kind of like refreshing your tool. So now I'm going to tap on that line here. I'm going to zoom out and push myself over, zoom out, push myself over, and maybe I'm going to come all the way over here and have a nice big curved line. All right, I'm going to push myself over, and then I'm going to zoom in. Whoops. Zoom in. And that's where I want my line to stop. Again, to fix my line, I'm going to go back to that direct selection tool, select that anchor point, and just push it back a little bit so I don't see the edge of that. All right, zoom, zoom, zoom. And then I can zoom back in here. This one's actually extending past the circle, so I'm going to push that one back. Almost a little too far. Okay. Excuse me. All right, so selection tool, right? To refresh my tool, I'm going to zoom out. Ooh, I'm swirling and swirling it, which is a-okay. I'm going to add one more line. Even though I already have 3 or more sections, I just want to add one more just because I am the artiste and I have the choice of what I want to add. I'm going to press here. Oops, I think I might have forgot to refresh it. I thought I already did. Boop, boop. All right, zooming out. And I'm going to come over here. We're going to add that straight line in here, and that way extends past where I wanted to go. So I am going to push that anchor point back. Okay, direct selection tool. I want to zoom out, see what my circle looks like. Oh, I think that looks pretty cool. If I want to keep adding strings, I can, but after this, I'm pretty much done with my strings. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start creating the patterns for my Zentangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my layers panel. I already locked down my circle. I'm going to lock down my strings. So I'm just going to tap that lock. I'm going to create a new layer, press that, and I'm going to layer this or title this one Pattern 1. Done. Okay. And then I'm going to tap that to make it go away. I really don't have to do anything with this. I'm just going to continue with my pen tool. All right, so I'm going to work in this top section up here. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to do more of like organic patterns. So remember, for this assignment, you want to use geometric and organic patterns. It could be a mix of the two. Your stroke must stay the same throughout your whole design. And think more of simple and complex patterns. So in some sections you could have simple patterns, in some other sections you need to have some more complex. So let's see. So I'm going to zoom in like I did. All right, and I'm going to do more, like I said, a scallop pattern. So that means it's just going to be like this curved line here. And I'm going to end it. To tweak that line a little bit, going to that direct selection tool, I'm going to drag that anchor point up. That one looks good. Love it. All right, so now I went to my selection tool, that top arrow. Okay, now these tools I have not pointed out to you. You can do a copy and paste. So where you see those two pieces of pages like on top of one another, that is a copy. So I'm going to press that first. And then of course we're familiar with this button here. That is your paste. I'm going to press paste. And then I should be able to move it, and I already have two, right? And this orange toggle up here, I guess that's what I'm going to call it. I can rotate it to make it fit into place. Then I could copy, paste, click, and drag. All right, and then I can rotate it to make it fit in place. Now, if the line is not reaching where I want it to, because these lines are not exactly perfect, direct selection tool, grab that anchor point and just drag it down so it does exactly what I want it to. All right, and I can continue doing this. I can go back, copy, paste. Whew. That only did that because I was on the wrong tool. I was on the direct selection tool. So I'm going to undo, make sure I'm on the selection tool, and now I can click and drag it, right? Now I got to rotate it, and now it fits into place. Copy, paste, rotate. Now what's going to happen here is I feel like I'm going to need another one of these guys. So selection tool, you could just click, 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 and you could click on any one that you want to. So I'm going to click on this, copy, paste, drag it over. Now it doesn't look like I need to go that far. So going to my eraser tool, I'm able to erase the part that I don't want. All right, and then I can go to my selection tool, direct selection tool, take that anchor point and bring it in. All right, so you really do have a lot of control in this program. All right, you have that copy and paste. If you don't like something, that is your delete button. So if I didn't like that, I could just delete it. Okay, or I can undo it because I did like it. This is your cut and then paste. Okay, so just kind of like thinking about like what you have in Word documents, this is what you can use. But then of course, zooming back out so you can see what I'm doing. This is pretty much how you're going to continue working on your assignment. To make this more of a, I would say this is more of a simple design. If I want to make it more complex, I would just add more into it, such as going in with my pen tool. Maybe I'll just put like a line going through them. So off it, on it. Okay, off it, on it, boom, boom. Again, make sure there are no gaps. If you have gaps, it's going to be a problem when we get to the second part of this project, which is all about adding color. And you're going to have something slightly different of adding color when we get to that point, but you'll have your own little demo to follow like you currently do now. So if I zoom out, now that's starting to look a little more intricate. So the more lines you add to a pattern, the more intricate it gets. Okay? If you have any questions, email me, but this is a very friendly program to use.